Here it is. So it is recording right now. So thank you for introduction, everyone. And right now, let's back to our working, what we're gonna do today, our working thing. So start today we're gonna talk about article number 6. To memorize your article number 6, we'll check it right now on my screen and let's read it together. Can I ask someone to read the article? Anita, can you read article 6 for everyone, please?
Restitution. Each member agrees the penalties for breach of contract may include, but are not limited to, fines, loss of account, and other restrictions.
All right. So maybe something not understandable for you, or have some questions someone can ask.
Like, let's say if someone breached the contract and the following loss will also be restricted, right? Like the following.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there's like an ideal translation of the word restitution. It's a complex word. Yeah, what would be the Mandarin?
Like 赔偿.
Right.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like to be restricted.
To be restored.
Restored.
Right.
Yeah, you're trying to return someone to their pre-loss condition.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's clear for me. All right. So breaking is more about the breaking the rules.
Yeah. Well, and remember it says breach of contract in particular. And I'll tell you that we've always thought of the Constitution itself as being a contract. And then when you enter into a smart contract, there's also the Ricardian contract that goes with it. And you're signing the Ricardian contract when you execute the smart contract. So there's contracts all around you.
So basically,
everything
when you register your first EOS account, there is a contract around you, and you need to obey the rules of Constitution of EOS. So
that's the thinking.
Yeah. So that's my point of view, and I would like to hear opinion of Brian. Brian, what kind of lexicon or kind of words you don't understand, or everything is clear for you?
Yes, I think the sentence itself is clear to me. Yeah.
All right. DaQian?
Yes, everything's clear to me, at least on paper. Thanks.
All right, very good. So let's back to our working thing.
You guys are scaring me.
Yeah. Thomas, sorry.
It can't be that clear.
All right. All right. Let's get back to the article 6 back, and let's ask Thomas to describe us on his words. Thomas.
So the Article 6, the thinking behind it had a lot to do with making sure that people understand and are sort of they're given notice that, you know, when you agree to the Constitution, you're agreeing that you might pay a penalty if you found to have broken a rule.
So there will be some punishment in the end.
Potentially, yeah. And, you know, I don't want someone saying, oh, no one ever told me, blah, 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 whatever. You know, that's
yeah, but I think it's I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
All right. Anita?
I think it's a common sense, right? If you sign the contract, you agree with some sort of like terms. If you break it, you need to pay some like fines and stuff.
All right. So let's back right now. Is after this description, let's back to our working sheet, okay? Because right now we have a bit tight with the time. We have 18 minutes. And the first question is, what would be a real-world example of this article in your mind? And let's start with Anita as well, because on the screen first is Anita, then Brian, then DaQian, and then Thomas at the end.
Actually, like last month, I was like experienced myself because I was renting. I'm not original from Beijing, and the house, you all know the house in Beijing is crazy like expensive. So I was renting a room, and I signed the contract with the landlord. He actually promised me in 2 years he will not raise the rent. Like, but you know that we have like main agents like land, like in real estate like land agency like 自如 or 蛋可, you all know if you actually live in China, you know, and they actually offered the landlord a better price, like probably like $300 more. So he told me he cannot rent me the room anymore unless I pay him like the same price. But I told him like we signed the contract, right? Like you cannot just tell me to leave because
what is the resolution after that?
So like we went to the I don't know how to say it in English, like a working like distribute like place, and he paid me back for like 2 months of my rent.
Oh, I got your point. So he broke his own contract in such case because you signed contract with him about renting his apartment.
Yeah, but he want to offer the room to someone else in higher price after we signed the contract.
After he agreed not to do it, he went and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with landlords in China is a hard story. All right, Brian, your example of situation of this article.
Like I think like 2 years ago, also the same case when I was in Holland. I was living in Holland, and I had a problem with my landlord. But so you normally have an inspection after you upon the day you're moving out, and then the landlord came to my place and then had an inspection. Everything was fine, but later on, in a week later, he told me I'm not going to give the deposit back because there is a breach of contract. But then that article was not clarified in the like let's say in the contract, so there was a gap. So the problem is that now the gap is, you cannot say it's my problem or like it's her problem because it's really unclear. So when you reach to a point like you say breach of contract, but then in the contract not every articles were specified, like what is defined as a breach of contract. So I guess
so
that's
it was not clear contract.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the contract has to be very clear, like the binding parties in the contract and what are included as a breach of contract, what will be seen in a breach of contract.
All right, got you. Yeah. So what was the resolution? Fast in
so the resolution is like I went to court and I sued her.
You won?
Then here has a bailiff, and then she still didn't want to pay, and then I have to appeal to a bailiff. So the bailiff has the authority to go collect her assets. Yeah.
So you won this case, right?
Yeah, I won the case. Yeah. So I made there some Dutch law, like I think it's more prone to the tenant over the people who rent the landlord. So I don't know exactly because the law is really deep. So you might find some, gap filling law.
Thank you. Next, DaQian, please.
Yes.
Your situation in real life.
Right. Sorry for everyone start getting a little bit bored with this landlord or renting the house issue, but I'm probably give a little bit similar example here. So what happened was that I just moved here in Vancouver, Canada a couple of days ago and desperately need a room to stay. So it's rather difficult to find housing here because of the pricing, location issues. Excuse me. So I went online and trying to find a Airbnb house. And for some reason, I just accidentally clicked book online, and all of a sudden I was charged this over $1,000 USD. And right.
Oh.
Right. And so that was bad. And so before that, the screen did pop up a contract, right, saying that, or agreement saying that if you before you agree to pay, you're willing to read and accept all those terms, which I did click. I was really, really stupid early morning at that time. And after I did that, I thought I made a mistake. And the next thing I would do, like normally everybody would do, is to contact. First of all, I try to get my money back as full amount as possible. But because of all the agreements, I could only get cleaning fees and operation processing fees from Airbnb, but not large majority of funds from the landlord himself. And so what happened next is that I tried to reach out landlord by myself, privately. I sent him emails, I sent him text messages, and there's no response. Right? And so here, obviously, at least on paper, I am trying to break the rule because we all understand that on blockchain,
you're asking the other person to let you off the hook.
Exactly. That's what I did.
Right, which they're allowed to do, but you can't let yourself off.
So let's summarize. In the end, you got back money, but not from the landlord. You got back money from Airbnb, right?
So in the end, not only I got money back from Airbnb, the processing fees, the cleaning fees, but also yesterday afternoon, I got my full amount back from the landlord himself, courtesy of his kindness. So this example is just, to me, it's like on blockchain, everything is fixed, everything. When we send some transactions, this occasion to me is really like a quick transaction online. And when you accidentally make a mistake, on blockchain, it's immutable, it's unchangeable. But in real life, somehow, if people are nice to you, then you are lucky and you can get some of your assets back. But in this case, it's not. So I'm just throwing out this example here because I think it's sometimes in real life, it's...
DaQian, you are lucky. I think you're lucky.
Yes, I am very, very lucky.
Yeah. All right, wow. Thomas, question to you. A real life example of breaking a contract. Very short, please. Very short.
Contracts and penalties.
I want to get all the questions. Yeah.
My friend Sonia bought a used car and trusted this person verbally saying that the car was in good shape. And then after she purchased it, she found out that it had extensive and very expensive problems. And she took this person to court, to small claims court, to try to say that this person should have disclosed these things. And there was no proof that the person knew about the defects. There was no evidence was available. I mean, sure, they must have known, but you couldn't prove that they knew. And you're only required to disclose things that you definitely know. If I can't prove you know it, I can't prove you failed to disclose it. So she lost, and she ended up having to pay for all these expensive repairs on this used car she bought.
And court expenses, right?
And the filing fees for small claims. And, she should have had her own mechanic inspect it in detail before buying it.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get back to our screen, and let's check the second question. If you were to explain the intent of the article to someone new in EOS or new in blockchain, what would your words be? How you will explain the article number 6 to another people on your own words? Anita, please. 1 minute. Another guy's thinking about the answer right now. Ahead, okay?
Yeah, I think common sense, like the contract is to restrict each hour's behave. If you want to get, let's say, restricted or paid when someone broke the contract, you have to follow the rules yourself. And the contract is meant to behave ourselves, to do what we said, we wrote. And yeah, I think that's pretty clear here.
All right. Yeah, very short article, actually, 1 sentence. Brian, please, on your words, explain to, for example, I'm newbie in EOS. I don't know anything. Explain me.
Okay, so I think to me, it appeals to me, this article, the intent of this article, just to trying to make it fair to the both parties. Then if somebody new in the game, they were create a sense of security as well. Like it's guaranteed. You wouldn't just lose something all of a sudden. So it increases the confidence to join, to do a business, I think. Yeah.
All right.
Right.
DaQian, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would approach to the person and then say, hey, here is the terms and agreements that you're given before making any transactions, and you should be aware of all those potential of fines and loss of funds. And so making sure that it's just like in real life, you got to make sure that you read all those terms and understand that, because otherwise you lose your funds, and it's going to be difficult to get payment back.
All right. Thomas, try to explain me in 2 words. Where is the body of the Article 6?
Article 6 is intended to alert the new person that penalties are possible in this place, and you're agreeing to face those penalties, so that you can't later, I never agreed to pay a fine. I stole 100. I should only have to give back the 100. You shouldn't be able to fine me an additional 200. I should say, no. You agreed right here. It's in Article 6, and you signed the Constitution. You signed up for this. You don't get to say that you never agreed. You agreed.
All right. All right. This is about penalties, and people need to be punished about the malicious things if they are doing that. This is summarization of what you guys want to say. Also, the second thing you would like to say, Anita said, is, and Brian says, more kind of security for some people, who coming into the EOS and they have security. There is some possibility to get money back if they lost. So also this thing. I would like to ask additional question. We don't have this question in this sheet of paper, so I would like to ask additionally. Do you think maybe you have feeling there is something missed in this article? Maybe kind of some details, or if yes, Brian, please.
So in this article, it said the means of restitution that you can expect to receive. But then, if for me personally, if I sign up a contract and I expect, like, if somebody had a breach of contract, I will receive the restitution. But what is the timeline and how I'm going to receive? Like, there has to be a time. It cannot be go on for forever. So it has to be very clear, more clear, I think.
Time is a lot. It can be cost you much more than.
Yeah. You can say pay me back in 10 years. Then in 10 years time, with all the inflation and stuff, it does not worth the value it is now. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
all right.
what I think.
Here is missed time. One thing. Any thoughts? Any more thoughts? Anita, DaQian, Thomas, something more add to this article to clarify it?
I think just add on to what Brian just described. I'm not sure if are we allowed to break, like, are we allowed to read more on, you know what I mean? It's when we have those 10 or 20 articles listed first, and then we have individual articles, bullet points under each article, then we may help solve this question of timeline and procedure, etc. If we can add on that, just.
All right, timeline as well. Anita, what's your opinion? If you would like to add something to this article, what would you like to add?
Like, some laws are like not measurable, like some following costs. Like if we broke a contract and I lost maybe like a week of all my employees working time, and I think some losses are not measurable. And for those losses, like how we actually like give it standards, like something like that.
Actually, there is can I add my opinion?
Yeah, sure.
I should avoid adding my opinion because I'm
You're allowed to have an opinion. Just don't force it on others.
All right. So I think there is different cases, people getting in different complicated cases about missing their assets. And to each case, to each different situation, there should be different timelines, I think. If it's because of malicious kind of phishing, then it should be one timeline. If it's because you just lost your keys, your private keys, then it should be another thing. So I think there is a different, basically few different scenarios on which it's working, and basically based on these scenarios, there should be different timelines. I think that's my opinion. So this thing should be more detailized in future, more structurized, because in future there will be more cases, people facing with like problems with like missing their things, someone cheat them, or kind of this. Yeah. Right now, I would like to make a summarization of the things we just was talking before. In
Can I
1
mention
minute.
one thing real quick? Part of the reason that there isn't a lot of detail is that this is a constitution, not a particular contract, and that the specific contract you sign might say timelines or might say the procedures. And the design goal for the Constitution was to be as brief and as inclusive as possible, and to give each contract space to set up its own rule set. So if you had a landlord contract, it would be really long. It wouldn't be 10 short articles. It would be pages and pages. And in the landlord agreement, you'd have timelines and penalties and methods and procedures. The purpose of the Constitution is to allow the other contracts to be written and to be enforceable.
All right, so it should be as common as possible. So it should be, so there is a huge variation of contracts on it. And no one of this contract in the end shouldn't conflict with the Constitution.
Yeah, it should be just an enormous scope for freedom to create the contract that's right for you inside the framework of the Constitution. That was the thinking there. It looks like we've got like time
to get back to the main room.
To have 5 minutes left, I think. Right?
5 minutes left. We can. All right. I would like to ask your opinion. Would you like to continue talk about this article, or we can go to Article 7?
I think we need to summarize Article 6 and prepare our summary.
I mean, we should do like pick a speaker, something like that, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things. We need to pick a speaker. Who would like to be a speaker?
I nominate Anita.
All right. Someone want to nominate someone else or self-nominate? Self-nominating is also okay. All right.
I will give.
What?
Because I was the spokesman last time. I was a spokesman last time, so I think everybody else deserves a chance to speak.
All right, Anita. So you will be speaker for the main group. Are you agree with that?
Yeah, but yes. I didn't really get a summary. Like I saw someone's writing, so I didn't really summarize what everybody was.
That's what we're going to take 3 minutes and help you do.
Cool.
All right. Here is 3 questions basically, and the first. What would be a real world example of the Article 6 in your mind? So basically,
I would just say the landlord one.
Yeah, is a main thing. It's landlords. So basically, people signing big contracts is with their landlords, renting house things. This is the most common.
And the second one is?
The secondary thing is if you were explaining Article 6 to someone new, how you'll explain it?
So it will be if you want to get the certain secured, you have to like agree with the terms, like what Brian would say, right?
Yes, he was saying about the security that it gives people security. Brian said,
Yes.
and DaQian said it is about penalties, and Thomas said it's about penalties. So if someone thinking
Well, I
that,
also said it was about preventing a defendant or a plaintiff from like claiming that, well, no one ever told me I would have to blank, that to cut off a whole line of conversation or argument, trying to disagree with the fact of penalties. It's like, no, this is a platform where every single contract on it could include a penalty if you break it.
Yes.
Right.
Got it.
That's what I meant as well.
all right. And the second and the third repeat questions for Article 2. So here we should discuss 2 articles during this call, but we did really detailed.
No. That was optimistic. No,
Okay.
1 article is more than enough, and we're down to 1 minute left.
Yeah, I also think so. Right now is pretty more clear, and thank you, Thomas, for clearing me that it shouldn't be much details in constitution, because I thought just before, like, all right, let's do more specific.
Yeah, no, you gotta make the Constitution high level, so there's room for every individual contract to be as detailed as it needs to be, and not have to worry about, do I fit into this incredibly complex Constitution that's on top of me. I'm gonna pop back to the main room. I'll see you guys up there.
Yeah. Cool.
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
See you there.
We should just leave and we'll go when we went back, or someone will actually invite us to go back to the main chat.
Yeah, I think
They need to call us back to the main chat. They did it before when I was facilitating previous time.
Hmm?
Oh, here is a call.
yeah.
So
return.
yeah, just let's return.
To say that today our group discussion was pretty much interesting.
Cool. See, people are beginning to return. 17, 18 people. Let's see, is Kevin still with us? Are we only at 18 people? Where's Kevin?
He may assist someone in the breakout room.
Here we go.
So if the room number 1 are already here, we can already start to the summarize.
第一组的那个 summary 由 Longqing， 你来做一下 summary。话筒是不是没有开？
哦，没开，现在开了，现在听得到吗？听得到。
我们听得到。
可以听得到。
可以哦。那我讲中文，然后我们第一组的话呢，这个话题是不引发暴力，这是第一条。然后我们就是主要是2点，就是增加2个一个链上暴力的一个定义。第一个就是某人强迫，然后一个资产所有人的或者他有人的一个主观意志而损失财产，然后这个算是一个就是黑客盗币2个，然后我们主要的一个讨论是这2点，就是对链上暴力的一个定义。我结束了。
All right, I'll try to go ahead and translate this. So the group 1, they mainly focus on the no initiation of violence here, and they came up with basically 2 main points they would like to add on to this constitution. The number 1 is the definition of violence, and if someone can help me out here, what are the exact terms they came up under this definition, that'd be great. And the second point is that they would like to see more focus on the on hackers, for example, on stolen funds. They would like that aspect to be much more clear expressed here in this constitution. So yeah.
我们可以做一个补充。
谢谢。
就是刚才我们的一个想法，就是我们讨论了链上暴力，还有链下暴力。就是链下暴力这块，像那些武力威胁那些东西，我们暂时的情况下，我们可能很难强制的去制裁这些事情的一个发生。所以说，我们觉着在未来可能很长一段时间之内，链下暴力我们是没办法去做一个强制的，所以说就是没有任何法律效力的。
Right. So here is another point that I added here. So there are both online and offline violences, and so people would group one would think that it will be very, very difficult to enforce some sort of laws or process to actually help mitigate the violences that happened offline. So offline means that people actually using weapons to threat someone in real life. So yeah, so that's group one. Can we have a group two?
OK， 我是 Larry。我这边陈述一下 Group 2这边的一个就是讨论的结果。我们认为这个第二条它其实是 no perjury， 就是说不做伪证。那么这一点的话，我们基本上认为在 on-chain 的这个场景下面，因为所有的事实大家都其实可以在链上看到的，其实它不太存在一种就是说做伪证的可能性，因为大家都可以对此做出一个就是说客观的一个评估。那么做伪证这个事情应该是出现在 off-chain 的这个场景下面。那么本身这条宪法它其实是一个就是消极权利或者说 negative rights， 它是可以通过这个所谓的 dead man test。那么在这个权利里面，它主张主要是两点：第一，不能做虚假陈述；第二，不能因此获利。那么这个在现实的生活中或者是 real world 里面是会存在就是作为这种情况的，但 on chain 的可能性是比较小的。那么我们这里引发的就是说就是两个问题，第一点就是确认这个宪法这条被触发的就是公约被触发的这个前提是不是第一，肯定是 off-chain 的 activity 才会出现 perjury。第二就是说，当出现了 off-chain 这种情况，并且是要通过公约来限制的话，那就必然会就是导致了就是叫人质去有证人的出现，才会出现 perjury 的情况。那么这个在现实的就是说 off-chain 的这个环境下，是否能够有比较好的可执行性和执行手段？这是第二个问题。
了解，谢谢。So I'll go ahead and try to give a summary for Group 2. The constitution they were talking about is mainly about no perjury. And so Group 2 thinks that there are mainly two possibilities happen in real life. First of all is on-chain, and the second one is off-chain again. So because on-chain, everybody tends to see evidence happened on blockchain, so that so everybody could give their objective thinking, and so there will be more evidence online. So what really happens is that what happens to off-chain scenarios. And so there are two main ideas that Group 2 came up with. So they would like to talk about, so first of all, they would like to make sure that when we talk about the Constitution number 2, we mainly focused on something off-chain, because online, if this was to happen online, then we would introduce this constitution. That means we would introduce human intervention to assess this scenario. We can pull out all evidence online, but if this would happen off-chain, then the problem is that is it enforceable? And if so, what are the means? What are the methods that we can use to actually help someone with making false statements, with making false statements? Yeah, so pretty much that's it. So if that's clear to you, Thomas, we can continue on Group 3.
Well, clear to me is not important. It's clear to the whole group. That
matters. Right. If this is clear to everybody here, let me know, please.
Please, next, we can start next one.
好，这个我是第3组的嘉林然后我们组的这个讨论的话题是权利，就是说，除非征得所有者同意并通过行之有效的仲裁员裁定或通过社区投票，否则任何财产均不得转让我们觉得这个在现实生活中的意义呢，首先第一点就是说，所有的这个 DAPP 包括这个所有在这个链上运行的所有协议，它都要有一个行之有效的这个用户协议，然后来确认，就是说允许用户可以把币转到我们这里，然后我们也有这个权利，然后用用户的这个 EOS 代币，然后来进行所有的这些，比如说之前的一些游戏什么之类的，一定要有非常明确的用户协议，才可以就是说有这个就是有一个权利的过渡，就这是一点现实生活的意义。还有一点就是说对于这种这个宪法来讲的话，其实它是可以约束这个黑客盗币的这么一个情况的。就比如说，如果没有经过用户的允许，我把这个用户的币转走了，这个是直接违反这条宪法的。还有一点就是说，其实大家就是黑客嘛，还有一点大家比较关心的，其实可能就比如说这个 scam， 就打个比方说，别人就是说，然后来诱使我把这个币转给别人。这个其实是不直接受这条宪法保护的，但其实我们可以通过公投系统，或可以通过这个仲裁员，然后来把我这个币然后要回来，就是这个是可以做到的。然后这个我们还有几点，就是说比较我们达成的共识吧，就是说因为这个宪法其实对我们的这个保护，其实但是我们也一定要保护好自己的，一个是私钥，还有一个是保护好自己的，就是说认真阅读所有的这个用户协议，因为一旦就是说我们这个一旦比如说我们同意了这个用户协议的话，其实很难就是说再把我们这个代币追回的，这个是我们学到的东西。对，好，这就是可以翻译了。
Great, thanks. So here in group 3, we came up with a few evidence in real life, talking about people having power with their keys here on chain. So there are a few examples here that they came up with. The number one is that so this constitution article allows each members in the community to have their power to use tokens to sorry, can anybody help me here? I'm a little bit speechless. Myra, maybe you can help.
I didn't focus. I'm focusing on compliment
Right,
about you.
Yeah, sorry, which one are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the number one. It sounds like you guys are emphasizing that. Oh, sorry. Now I see. It's like the contract should be much clearer defined here on chain. That's the number one. It happened in real case. And the number two example, they were talking about this constitution can really make an effect to enforce to help enforce the case where the token was stolen by hackers. And the number three about scam. So although this constitution not specifically talking about using scams to allure people, stealing the funds from other community members, but we can really use this article to help people with such cases. And the common intent group 3 came up with basically 2 points. The number one is that the group thought that even if we have the protection from this particular constitution, each of the members should make sure that they protect their private keys well. And the number two is that community members should really read and focus, should really read and understand the articles very well before they sign any transaction or contract. So that's all about group 3. Thank you.
One point I want to make for this one in English. Actually, we are talking about one thing. We also talk about this user agreement. So every time you want to use a DAPP or DApp from EOS, you should carefully read the user agreement before you sign the agree. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
Group number 4.
Okay. 接下来是不是应该到我们第4组？
到你们组了。
OK， 哇，大千实在太厉害了，那么长一段的翻译都能够翻译的那么到位。我这边分成2段吧，给大千减轻一点压力。我们组这一组讨论的话题是 low vote buying， 就是贿选的这个话题。然后我们一致有共识的就是这一条是作为一个解释的话，就是其实也很好解释，就是一个贿选的情况。然后是希望大家能够更多的为 EOS 生态的长期来考虑，然后而不是为了短期的利益去进行贿选这样的操作。然后我们每个人提了一下自己的看法，然后大家更多的是在实际的操作情况上面有一些想法，就是比如说大家都一致支持不要贿选，但是如果说有大的票仓会存在大家互相抱团、互相进行就是互投的这样的一个情况，然后如何在实际的操作过程中去执行这一条宪法的情况。然后再一点就是我看一下，再一点就是这个你刚才看的那个包括这一条宪法里面有提到不要过度的去影响其他人投票，比如说有人更多的去催促别人给别人发消息，然后催促别人去进行这样的投票，是否能列入这条宪法的违反这条宪法的执行里面，然后以及在实际操作过程中如何去执行这样的保障，就是贿选这样的情况能够被披露出来，让大家更多的去了解 BP 实际在做什么样的事情，然后给更多的 EOS 的持有人去了解这些 BP 的实际情况，去做出他们正确的投票选择。这是我们一个比较一致的一些看法。大钱那边帮忙翻译一下。
行，谢谢。So here in group 4, we mainly focused on no vote buying. And the common intent we came up with was that the groups thought that community members should all thinking about EOS in longer terms. What that means is that not focusing on short terms, no vote buying. So that's the common intent they came up with. And there's a couple questions this group has was that, first of all, how to execute such how to enforce, how to execute such constitution, because in real life there will be whales, and so it'll be very hard, according to this group, that there's no collusion happen in real life because whales would tend to do vote buying and sort of vote for other groups privately, and so how to enforce this constitution would be a challenge. And second thing is that the constitution talking about not shall any member unduly influence the vote of other members. They also was wondering how to actually execute such constitution and how to disclose such information if certain VPs or certain block producers are actually doing this, how to disclose that information so that everybody knows what happened on chain. So yeah, so that's group 4. Thanks.
然后我们是第6组的，然后我们这组说的是 restitution 赔偿，然后这条宪法的主要内容就是每一个成员都同意对于违背合同的惩罚包括但不仅限于赔款、账户的损失和其他的赔偿。我觉得这一点其实是非常清楚的，就是之所以有合同，之所以有合约，说是因为言语的约束力不够啊，合同是白纸黑字来约束双方的一个行为能力。然后我们这组很有意思的是，我们这组有3个人都说了，我们对于 landlord 的一个就是一个赔偿的就是一个赔偿的情况。然后因为可能不管是在哪边 landlord 都是一个比较负面的存在。对，我的自己的经历是我当时在跟房东签了合约，但是因为自如和蛋壳给他们的价更高，然后他就说那我就不租你这个，除非你给我跟自如一样的钱。然后他之前是跟我签了合同的，所以我们后来去那边就是调解的时候，他赔了我2倍的房租。 这是我们当时我个人在现实生活中找到的一个例子。然后 Thomas 找到了一个，他当时也是因为买二手车跟别人产生的一个 dispute， 然后对后来产生了一系列的赔偿。然后第二点是我们就是怎么样才对 EOS 的新人介绍我们对于这个宪法的观点。Thomas 他提到说，其实这一点之所以写出来，也是为了让大家没有那些就是那些混乱的东西。然后你写了这点，你看到这点，你就同意了，也就同意了，你遵守了这一点。如果你到最后扯毛皮说，那我当时没有看到，其实是不应该的，因为你已经 sign 了这个 contract。这个宪法本身就是一个合同和一个合约，对。
Okay, so here in group 6, we were mainly focused on restitution, and a few of our members came up with real-life examples, such as landlords dealing with landlords, or landlords broke the contract, and by the end of the day, we either won the case or we lost the case. And also Thomas here shared his example of his friends purchasing a second-hand car and had to go to the court, and ended up losing the case because of all very confusing terms, and because actually there was no evidence to prove before the person bought the car. So in this case, restitution could be very hard to enforce. And so if we were to introduce this constitution to someone new in EOS, how do we do that? Well, it's really simple, actually. So one of the things that we came up with was the common intent. And we were saying that we should let anyone new to EOS know that penalty here's in this constitution are really possible. And if you sign up the contract, which means that you actually agreed on all the terms that you sign up for, and you would end up possibly being fined or paying penalties, and it could be costly. So it's rather a warning given ahead to members in the community, saying that, hey, those penalties are really possible, and you should be really careful reading and before signing the contract. So that's group 6. Thank you.
Okay, so now group 7, right? So first of all, let me introduce myself. Shen Wang from the US Pacific, and I'm the speaker for group 7. And before I jump into group 7, because I used to be a lawyer in a very large Wall Street law firm, so I want to point out something in number 6. Number 6, like the restitution, actually, this is not the right word for restitution. The contents for Article 6 is talking about punitive damage or penalty. So actually, I myself and also US Pacific, we suggest to change the word restitution to punitive damage, because restitution is a concept that is to prevent unjust enrichment. So which means if a person is unjustly enriched, he or she needs to return the benefits that he received from the unjust enrichment to the person who lost that benefits. So that's the concept of restitution. But actually here, this entire clause, we can talk with Thomas here, is the entire clause here is talking about concept of punitive damage or penalties. So restitution is not the right word for the Article 6 for the title. And also, for the last sentence of Article 6, another restitution is, I suggest we remove the word restitution, because as a lawyer, usually we pay close attention to words. 我同时说一下中文的话，就是说这个意思是什么呢？就是给大家说一下在我 jump into 这个 Article 7之前，其实第6条当中是有一个很重要的一个概念是赔偿，我们中文翻译过来叫赔偿，但是英文这个赔偿的话，其实并不是 restitution 这个字眼，应该是叫做一般的赔偿叫做 indemnification， 但是它整个这一条讲的是一个惩罚措施，所以说这个 punitive damage 才是这个Article 6的一个核心的想表达的意思。Then I jump into Article 7. Okay, so for our group 7, Article 7 is actually 4 of us, our group members, we accept the concept of open source because open source is a really important and critically important concept on the blockchain to incentivize people to participate in this group. So open source, we think this is a good idea to put into our blockchain open source. And if we, how to introduce this concept to some newbies who join this blockchain, we may say, the US community is a very open community, and we suggest everything on this blockchain is actually to be open source. So it's very similar to the concept of Wikipedia. Everyone can participate, can voluntarily and also responsibly change the contents on this blockchain. But meanwhile, at the same time, we want to actually point out some very critically important words. So as I mentioned, I used to be a lawyer working for a big Wall Street law firm. So I pay close attention to the words. The first change we want to make is each member who makes available a smart contract. We don't think this make available, this word is correct. Make available is a very low bar, it's a very low threshold to be a developer. Actually, being a developer on the blockchain is very serious. So we suggest to change the words makes available to distributes. Because if you think about someone who distributes smart contracts on the blockchain shall be a developer, this bar is actually high. Distributes, which means if you distribute your smart contracts, it's very hard for you to retrieve them or at least to take it off the blockchain. But if you just make available a smart contract, it is straightforwardly easy to just take it away from this from a blockchain. So the first change we suggest is actually each member who distributes a smart contracts. The second change we want to make is each developer shall offer their smart contracts via free and open source license. The concept is no problem, but we want to change the word offer to publicize. Because offer is not a correct legal word. Publicize is the correct one. Publicize, which means you announce to the open world, you publicize this contract, so that is our change. And then third change is, and if we continue reading, and each smart contract shall be documented with a recording contract. We suggest to add the word, each smart contract publicized shall be documented with a recording contract. So we don't want to say, we just want the language and the legal sentence to be more compact and more precise. And in general, this is a good, we don't have any, much disputes towards the concept of open source, but just some wording. 我如果翻译成中文的话呢，这个意思就是说，第一个来说，他说 makes available 的话，就是每一个成员，只要你在这个 blockchain 上让你的智能合约 available 的话，那你就是一个 developer。这个词的话呢，其实并不准确，应该是你在这个在发布啊，你在这个区块链上发布你的智能合约，你可以成为一个 developer。发布其实比 make available 的这个要求更高一点。第二个 ，each developer shall publicize 啊，他说是 offer， 就是每个提供，我们认为提供不是一个很好的字眼，应该是发布，啊，发布跟提供的概念其实是不一样的，所以说我们在法律上有很多，因为这是一个很重要的一个文件，所以说我们必须要咬文嚼字，啊，第三个来说的话呢 ，each smart contract publicized 啊，就是他发布的这些 contract shall be documented with a recording contract， 而不是一般的 contract 没有发布的也可以 documented。好，这就是我们那个第7组的一个想法。好，同时对第6组的这个 restitution 这个概念从法律上做了澄清。好，谢谢大家。
Then group number 5.
Yep.
我想他可能会放出来。
电报群已经发进去了，大群我已经发进来了。
行，谢谢。
There is also the WeChat group that Myra has created.
微信的话需要一个一个拉，因为我并没有，所以说大家可以加一下我微信，然后我来拉你。
目前还没有微信组，所以大家可以通过加 Myra 的微信群通过加 Myra 的个人微信 ，Myra 会帮助你拉进群里。
I see that Dmitri's raised his hand. Dmitri, was there something you needed to add?
Sorry, translate Chinese to Chinese.
I would like to have a time ahead about announcement about the next call for the next week, so we can prepare some homework about it. Because I'm thinking about in future to make call in Russian language, because I can speak Russian fluently. Why not? I want to try.
Brilliant. Let's talk offline. Let's you, me, Kevin, and Myra talk about setting up a time for that, because we want as many languages as we can. So there's your call to action. Thank you all very, very much. We need to schedule this for more than an hour, because clearly it took more than an hour.
Thomas 的最后非常感谢大家的参与非常抱歉，那么时间有点超时，那么接下来我们会更好的注重时间的这个安排，非常非常感谢大家的参与。
And I personally am very honored by your attendance here today. I thank you very much.
Thomas 同时呢他个人非常感觉非常的荣幸能够得到大家的参与和帮助，非常感谢大家的支持，再次表示您的感谢。
You are free to go. Thank you.
Goodbye.
好，今天会到此结束，谢谢大家。
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Thanks all. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.